Alright, this is a custom range slider created with HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Let me show you what it does. As you can see, you can change the minimum value and the maximum value. If I change the minimum value starting from 1500 and the maximum value to be like 9500, as you change in the input field, you see the slider getting changed. You can change the value with the slider as you drag. The changes will also get reflected on the input box. So there's a price gap between these two input field is like 1000, which will prevent the slider getting overlapped. As you see, this is episode number 89. In case if you are interested in learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript from scratch, I have a complete playlist like this, which has about 87 video. Now I'll leave this link in the description in case if you are interested, just start along with it. So I would recommend you, if you are a very beginner, I would recommend you to start it from zero. That is from first video. And if you are intermediate and you know how to use CSS and HTML together, you can directly jump into this range slider and start along with me. In case if you got stuck somewhere, I'll leave the link of this particular project source code in the description. In case if you got stuck somewhere, just copy paste it and start along with me. Alright, now let me just show you the HTML. Now if you see, we have a main container which is wrapper. Inside the wrapper we have three childrens. The first one is header and the second is section, the third is again section. Now if you see in the header, it's just the h3 and the paragraph. If you look at the last section, it's just a div with progress class. Now in between we have a section called price input, and in the price input it again has three childrens. The first one is field, the second one is separator, and the third one is field again. Now in the field we have a span tag with text min and a input tag with class input min, and the value of the input is going to be 2500. The same way, if you look at the final children of the section, which is price input, we again have the same copy of the first field, which is the text is just I have changed the text like from min to max, and the value is like 7500, and the value and the class for the input field is going to be max, just to differentiate between the minimum value and the maximum value. The minimum value is 2500 and the maximum value is going to be 7500, and that's the difference. We don't have much in the HTML. Now let's just jump into the style sheet. Now in the style sheet I have imported the font called Poppins. Yeah, it's over here, and with different variations starting from 300 to 600, 300, 500 and 600. Now before creating this file, you need to link the style.css in the header file, which I have done. Style.css. For this code we don't need this font awesome, I'm just commenting it, or you can keep it, it's up to you. And you need to link the script tag script file at the bottom. As of now the script file is blank, so I've just linked the file to the HTML. Now for the CSS, for all element I have removed the margin and padding and box sizing to border box and the font family to Poppins. For all the element, the font is going to be Poppins, and this is just for browser overriding issue. Some browser might have margin, so to remove that I am making this for all element, make it 0. Now that is not going to be much change. Now for the body, let's have a background color just to see the difference. I have a background color selected, and let's just give the width of 100% of viewport width, height of 100% of viewport height. Now if you see, the background color will show up here, and for all the element in the body, let's just change the color to be like white. Now I want the what is inside the body to be at the center. So display flex, align item center, and justify content center. Now let's just design the wrapper. Let the background color for the wrapper be a little dark, sorry, a little light, and let's just give the width of like 400 pixel, and I think let's just make this 500, and whatever is there, let's make this to be at the center. So display flex, align items center, justify content center. What align item will do is it will vertically align your content to the center, and justify content will horizontally align your content to the center. So for this to work, you need to give the height, let's say 400 pixel. Let's add a padding, top and bottom 30 pixel, left and right 30 pixel. Now what is happening is that we have three childrens for the wrapper. So if you make display flex, this is first child, which is h3 and paragraph. This is second child, and the third one is progress. It's not showing up because we just have a class called progress. So to give 100% to all the I want the header to have 100% width. So let's just make this width of 100%, and the sections inside this the section inside the wrapper should also have width of 100%. Now if you see, it is again giving 50%, that is like 33%, 33%, 33%. We don't want to make that, so we want the container to follow the width of the child. We would be making flex wrap as wrap. Now I think the height is not needed for as of now, because we have given padding, top and bottom 60, left and right 30. Cool. Now let's design the h3, uncomment this, font size of 2 rem, I think it's too much, 1.5, and let's give margin to the header. So margin bottom, let's say 30 pixel. Now for the range slider, we would again give display flex. So by giving display flex, the field inside the field class will be displayed as columns instead of rows. So if you see, price input has field separator and field again. Price input, let me just check the spelling. Now you got it. I think that is spelling mistake here. Control H and paste it to replace. I don't see any change. Cool. Now again this field should have a width of like percentage, and we want the price input to have width of 100%. The container should have width 100%, and inside the field, the separator and field again, Where is the separator? Let's just take this separator over here, and let's make the width of, let's say, 40 40 is 80, and then the rest is 20 percentage. Cool. And just to see the difference, let me make the background colors red. Now what we need to do is, inside the field we want to make this, instead of column we want to make this as a row. So display flex, so width of 100 percentage and height of 75 pixel, align item center, justify content center. And you can give the span tag or inside the field a margin of margin left, actually it's going to be margin right of 15 pixel. Padding instead of margin, that doesn't seem to work. Let me just remove the margin. The separator, I think it's not getting, let's just make dash. Cool. 40 40 20, I think it's not taking the value of 40. Let me just make this 30, and since we have given height of 75 pixel, we can get the input and give height of 100 percentage. And instead of giving margin to the span, let's just give margin left of 10 pixel. Let me just remove the background color. If you think 75 is too much, you can give 55. It's up to you. Now we need to adjust the width of the input inside the field. Let's just make this 40, and inside the 40 we would be making this display flex, so that we can give width to the span tag, width of 30 percentage, and here the width of the input tab is 70 plus 30 is 100, or you can make this 20 80, and instead of making 30, let's just make this. I think this is not making any change. If that doesn't work, you can anytime check the input field to debug what's really happening. Price input, this 40 is not taking up. Okay, there are two fields. Okay, here it's 100 percentage. Let me remove that, and now it's working. Cool, that was the problem. Now the container for the input field and span tag is this one, and if you see, the separator is not following the flex, so let me just give it to the separator. so that it appears at the center. A height of 50 pixel which we have given. Cool. Now let me just add padding to the now this seems to be a little boring, but let's just wait till our slider shows up, custom slider. For the header, the margin bottom is too much. Let's just make this 20 pixel. And if you want, you can change the color of the input. So before changing the color, if I click on it, you will see the two uh, two buttons on the input field. To make that disappear, what we can do is we can give let me just duplicate this. So there's a option to remove in the Chrome is like giving WebKit outer spin and WebKit appearance. These are the attribute as none. This is for outer and this is for inner. And don't forget to add dash in front of WebKit or else it don't show up. If I click on it, you'll see there is no sign of the button on the input field. Now what we can do is we can style this. Let's just increase the font size of the input field 1.1 rem, 1.2 rem. Cool. And text align center. I think this doesn't work. Let me just remove the text align center. Cool. I hope this is fine. Let's focus on custom slider now. And before custom slider, let's just design the wrapper through the Chrome inspector tool. And box shadow is going to be 1 pixel top and bottom, 1 pixel left and right, 1 pixel blur, and the color is black. And what we can do is we can have border radius of 5 pixel. Look for the wrapper and just paste it. Let's just remove the outline. So when I focus, the outline will be not there. And if you want, you can give again border radius to the input field. Now for the separator, we have separator. Inside the separator we have progress. Let me just uncomment this. Now let the width be 100%, let the height be 5 pixel, let the background be white, and let there be margin top of 15 pixel, 30 pixel, and we can give border radius of 5 pixel, or instead of white we can stick to this. Fine, we'll look at the design later on. Now let's focus on the functionality. Cool. Now let's just make this position relative so that we can give position absolute, left of 25%, and background be red, width of 100%, height of 100%. Instead of left, let's just left, and right is going to be 25%. And let's just try removing this, and border radius of 5 pixel as we have given to the parent. Let's just take this color and give it to red. So this is for range slider. Now what we need to do is we need to create a input field which is going to be hidden. Now over here, if you see, I have a slider, and after the slider let's just make a div with class range input, and inside the range input let's just make a input type range, and the class is going to be range for min value. If I refresh it, I think it's not shown up yet. Hard refresh. Yeah, we got it. So this is for min. The same way, let's just make the value for maximum input, range max, and the min value is going to be like 0, and the max value is going to be like 10,000, 100,000, 10,000, and the value for the min is going to start from 2500 as we have did for the this one input field. The same way, it's going to be 7,500, 2,500 and 7,500. Cool. And it's going to be max instead of min. Cool. Now let's just design this inside the input range. We have input. Let's just make this position relative, and let's just make this position absolute. So position absolute, position relative, width of 100%, height of 5 pixel, and top, let that be there's a one correction. Previously we have made all the section with 100% so that it acts as a column. So we use flex direction wrap. So here instead of flex direction wrap, we can also make flex direction column. So by making the flex direction column, we don't have to give width 100% to the input. So I have removed it. So let's just try making this input field position absolute. Remove that. Now let's just try giving width of 50% each. And let's just make the container width of 100% and display flex. So now we can use position to override that. In the style, it's for the input, and remove the top. Now for the input, we need to give width of 50% each. Let's just try giving negative value, remove the absolute so that we can see the changes. Instead of height should be 100%. We have to make the width as 50%. Cool. Now let's try position absolute now. When I give position absolute, something is getting wrong. You can see 220 into 0. Width and height is 0. Now width. So if you notice, it's one above the other. So again, width is not taking up, that's the reason. If you try to hide either one, you would see it's one above the other. That's why it's showing up. It's taking up 50% of width. So instead of 17 I have made the 25 pixels so that we can it looks little bigger. Now to use the JavaScript, let's just get the input field value, inputs range value in our JavaScript. So you can see this is a main container which contains two input field. So document dot query selector all, since we are going to access two values. Inside we have an input all range inputs. Now we are going to use for each. We can access one by one input field with this attribute. This is going to be the first input field value. So before that, let's add a event listener called input dot add event listener, which is input so if it is first value, so get this console.log. So before that we can get the value of the first input field with passing index number 0 dot value console.log. This is going to be first one and this is going to be second input value. Let's just check with console inspect what is 0, control 0 to get into that place, or to reset your zoom level, control 0 will do that. So if you press control plus zoom in, control minus zoom out, control 0 actual 100% view. So if I try to input, let's say this one, you can see this is first input value and this is second input value. So if I change the second input value, so this is first input again, this is second input again. Now what we need to do is we need to get the percentage of the first input field. So before doing that, we need to first input value as number. Since it's a text, it may be a text field, but we need to convert it into a number. So we will be parsing it with parseInt. This is second input, and now to get the first input value and convert it to percentage, number as percentage. So this is first input value divided by the first input's maximum value. So if you see here, we have a max. Instead of 2500, it is going to, we can half it by making it 5000. Cool. Now we need to multiply it with 100. Now get the progress bar. Inside the slider div we have a class called progress, so get that. Document dot query selector, we have a slider class, and we can set the style dot left value and pass the percentage value plus it's a percentage. Let's try it. So as we scroll, we want the left value of this position absolute to also get effect. So this is it, progress. So you can see left 25 we have given it. So It's not, it's progress dot. Inside slider we have progress that we want to affect. So before that, let's just see whether we are able to properly print the percentage value inside the console. Get into the console, just try changing the value, and it says not a number. I think it's the max value that is causing the issue. First number. Okay, you can see, get the first input. So so this line is giving the actual number, it's not giving the actual input. So to get the actual input max value, you need to pass this way. So you can see the percentage value 25. Let me just change one. It's 18% now. 24. So what if I make it this as 1000 itself? And if I change, I found a mistake here. If you see on the input, we have made this in the style sheet as 50%. We have to make this as 100%. And for the container, let's not make it display flex. This is first one, and this is second one. The second one, let's just remove the left property. So as I change, I'm trying to change this, but this is getting changed. Let's just make pointer event none and change the value of pointer event. Let's try again. Yeah, now it works. The same way we can change the value of we can get the maximum value of the second input and pass it to a right value. Instead of 0, it's going to be 1 again. That seems to be issue. Let me fix it. Now there's a small fix. So if I remove 100 and if you make this like 76, if you give 76, what happens is you're giving the percentage from 0 to 76. So it would be somewhere here. It would be somewhere here, as I said. So let me just make this. You can see, as I said, it is starting from 0 and the value now is 74. So starting from 0 and here it is 74%. Now what you need to do is we need to subtract it with 100. So once you subtract it with 100, you get 79. So 0 minus 100 minus 79 is 30. So starting from 0 and it's 30, it's 30 here. So now I hope it's clear. So now we are able to fix the slider. Now if Let's create a if else first. Now if the second input value subtracting the first input value, which is minimum, let's say it's 7500 and this is 2500. 7000 minus 2000 is like, so let me just show you. So now it's 2500, it's 7500. The difference between these two is like 5000. So if it gets if it gets by 1000 rupees, which is minimum price gap, what should happen? In the normal case, what we can do is we can directly pass this value to the else statement. So in this case, if the minimum value, we need to set the minimum value. Get the first value, which is minimum, and set it to like get the maximum input value minus the 1000, which is price gap. So you'll see as you get close, you get a price gap of 1000 rupees. I hope this is clear. Get the minimum value and get the maximum value. If the maximum value, assign the minimum's value by getting the maximum value minusing it with 1000. The same way as we have assigned it for the minimum value, we need to assign it for the maximum value as well. So before assigning, we need to get the class name of the class name. So if e dot target dot class name is like the first input value, copy this to the first one, else copy this to the second one. Cool. The reason for doing it, even if I try to overlap the previous one, it's not going to allow me because we have set the value based on the because we have set the maximum value based on the input small value, and if I'm not able to overlap with the maximum value, it is because this small value has been given the value of the maximum value minusing the maximum price, the price cap. Now let us update the input field input box. Now if you see on the fields, get this main section class, which is input boxes, because queries are all. So in the else section, we can access the first input and change the value based on the minimum value, and this is based on the maximum value. So right now what we can do is we need to set the first input value to the first input, second input range value to the second input text box. So if I try to change, you see the value also gets changed. Cool. I have made a mistake. Let that be range, and there has been a problem with these two values. We don't need this gap. Cool.